That's what Christianity is. So, Maya also wrote part 2. Well, then, where do you think the universe came from? And I'm going to give you a simple answer. I don't know. Don't know. Nobody does. We have theories, but we don't really know. Not even your preacher knows, believe it or not. Besides saying that God did it, I mean, really doesn't explain a fucking thing. You're in essence saying that an unseen, unknowable being created it in a way that we could never understand. You might as well say it was magic or fucking fairies. I mean, I don't know what you want to do, Maya. I mean, when you say God created the universe, it begs a question. Well, who or what created God? And then who or what created that entity? And so on and so forth. And, there's a beginning, there's an end. That's what you're telling me. Here's a problem. People do have questions about the universe. Where did it come from? Where do we come from? Do we have a purpose? I think these questions are pretty basic human questions. I mean, I don't see anything wrong in that. And, quite frankly, it'd be great if the answers were easy to come by and easy to understand. However, they're anything but. They're not basic. They're not easy to understand. To arrive at any kind of respectable, defendable answer, you would have to study anthropology, biology, physics, and our philosophy just to begin with, just to start, and you're still not going to understand it. We have long since passed a point where the layman can do much more than scratch the surface of all these, diverse fields. Even as great as we are at science now and creating and biology and chemistry and things like that, we don't fucking know shit. And the greatest scientists will tell you, there's a lot we don't fucking know. I mean, the answers are hard to arrive at, but religion makes it easy for Joe Bob in fucking Georgia to go, I know how it happened. It happened because God did it. Why? Because he has the brain capacity to fucking understand anything other than that. God created the universe. We're here because he put us here. Our purpose is to serve him and the church. Those answers are pretty fucking easy, Maya, but they're really not answers because we don't know how he did it or where he came from or what his purpose was for putting us here. When we follow religion, we are not following the same religion. And it's very, it's very diverse. It causes elitism, intolerance, and war. I mean, these are paths we can no longer afford to take. Humanity is too interlinked and the world is too small and nuclear weapons too fucking abundant. Okay, Maya? And, for us to even go down this path. The difference between scientific and religious answers is the way they go about getting these answers. That's what they do. We explore, we figure it out, we do things, and eventually we'll figure it out. But I'm not going to sit here and rely on God did it, and so there it is. Because I'm not a fucking idiot. That's why. I think science looks at the universe and tries to figure it out, working from the data to answer everything. I mean, we can't answer everything, but we look at data and we do scientific analysis and we try to figure out how something comes to be. Religion, on the other hand, works fucking backwards. It teaches us that the answers are revelations from God, or at least inspired by God, and tries to find data in the universe that supports them, ignoring or denying evidence that contradicts it. This is what the fucking problem is. There are Christians that believe that the world is 6,000 years old, Maya. We know it's not. We can prove it's fucking not. And no, to take carbon samples is not a device from the devil. We know how old the earth is. We can scientifically prove this, which contradicts the Bible. I hate to tell you. I mean, In the past, religion has denied that the world is round, that the sun is the center of the solar system, that illness can be caused by microscopic organisms. It denied that shit. We know now that that's not the case. And I tell you what, Maya, if you believe so much in your God, and you believe so much that He is here for a reason, and we are here for a reason, then I tell you what, the next time that you know somebody, or if you get cancer or some life-threatening illness, just pray about it. Don't go to the doctor. Let's see what happens. The fact that Christians even remotely even go to a doctor means they don't fully fucking believe in their religion. It's my opinion. Religion, is currently, it's denying evolution. This is a time when every major accredited institution of higher education in the world accepts it. Sorry, we could prove it. You can't prove the Bible. Galileo was imprisoned. Bruno killed for espousing their scientific discoveries during a time where religion contradicted their findings. By the way, the Catholic Church is after a kinder image now, I guess. On the site, The Myth for the Spanish Inquisition, yes, that is a website. The Myth of the Spanish Inquisition. They say it wasn't millions of heretics they killed, but only 3,000 to 5,000. Of course, this does not even touch on the number of people who were maimed, tortured, dispossessed of their lands, properties during the 350 years that it endured. By the way, that was between 1481 and 1834. They're denying Spanish Inquisition now. So what do? Take some time, Maya. Learn about the world around you. I personally enjoy the study of different fields. The internet has put all sorts of science at your fingertips. You can learn fucking anything you want to learn. I just recently read that there was a guy that was 27 years old that became an astrophysicist purely from the internet. He learned everything, passed every exam that he had to, learned everything from the fucking internet. You can learn anything you want to do. You'd be surprised how accessible information is. If you take the time to ask the questions, use your brains. Learning is lifelong and fun. Just open up your mind and start, man. Okay? Got another question, again another name, but surely the guy says you can't, person says, you must concede that there are some things that science can't explain. Well, of course. Person that lives no name. Won't read your email address. It's always been that way and probably always will be. We can't explain everything. But just because we don't know something doesn't mean some supernatural intelligent being is responsible. Carl Sagan called the human tendency to attribute to God, which we do not know, as putting God in the gaps. Atheists are quite content to say that they simply fucking don't know yet. And we rely on the scientific method to find the answers. But if we don't know, we're not going to contribute it to some mystical being that's up there that just made it happen. Because that sounds like something my 7-year-old would say. That's fucking stupid. Another question says, how can you trust science isn't always changing what it says? Well, that is simply the way science works. You conduct tests on nature and gather results, then you retest the results with updated knowledge and techniques that improve over time. Sometimes we don't get it wrong. And sometimes we do get it wrong. But we're the first to admit when we get it fucking wrong. We're the first to admit when it happens and continue on with our investigation. The church also follows scientific findings, but with about a 100 to 500 year lag. In the meantime, they persecute the scientific community as heretics. Also, the scientific method, which is responsible for modern science, by the way, space, flight, and just about every modern fucking convenience, including the computer that you're listening to me on right now. You take for granted all of this shit. Science did it. Not God. If we stopped all of this because of religion, science would come to a grinding halt. It did. Called the Dark Ages. Because of fucking religion. If we started saying, oh, God did it, and stopped searching for further answers, this actually was the thought process dominant for 1,000 years of scientific stagnation and religious oppression called the Dark and Middle Ages. We didn't learn shit. They wouldn't let us. And that's the best thing you can do in religion. What you do is you take people and you restrict them from learning anything. You give them no education and they will follow you blindly. The minute that somebody has an education, that is a time when you have problems as a religion. The Muslim religion, not too long ago in Iraq, what did they do with the first person, the people they executed? The college people. The people that were doctors. You know why? Because those people were starting to ask fucking questions. It made no sense to them. You stifle them, everybody has no way of learning anything, and you control a person. Another question. This is from Tom. Christian morals were founded on the Bible. How could you say you're a moral person and not believe in the Bible? Well, first of all, morals predate the Bible by thousands of years there, Tom. They weren't invented with the Ten Commandments. I mean, are you fucking serious? How do you think we live post Ten Commandments, man? I mean, it has always been against human values to be dishonest, to kill, or to harm your fellow man or steal his possessions. All societies, ancient and modern, have been founded on these principles. They had to be, else they would have not endured at all. I mean, also, even strong Catholics and Christians cannot agree amongst themselves on specific issues of morality like abortion, birth control, homosexuality, women's rights. I mean, not too long ago, the Bible was used to justify slavery and deny women's rights. I did a show, How God Hates Women, based on all of this. The Bible is still being justified by killing doctors who work in women's health clinics. Thomas Paine, in his Age of Reason, wrote one of the most scathing attacks on the Bible to date. To quote one passage from him, he said, "Whenever we read the obscene stories, the voluptuous debaucheries, the cruel and torturous executions, the unrelenting vindictiveness with which more than half of the Bible is filled, it would be more consistent that we call it the word of a demon than the word of God. It is a history of wickedness that has served to corrupt and brutalize humankind. And for my part, I sincerely detest it, as I detest everything that is cruel." I've got a couple of quotes here. Isaac Asimov says in the Canadian Atheist newsletter in 1994, "Imagine the people who believe such things and who are not ashamed to ignore totally all the patient findings of thinking minds through all the centuries since the Bible was written. And it is these ignorant people, the most educated, the most unimaginative, the most uneducated and the most unimaginative, the most unthinking among us, who would make themselves the guides and leaders of us all, who would force their feeble and childish beliefs on us, who would invade our schools and libraries and homes. I personally resent it bitterly." Even Helen Keller felt that the Bible was extremely cruel and inhumane. She said, there is so much in the Bible against which every instinct of my being rebels, so much that I regret the necessity which has compelled me to read it through from beginning to end. I do not think that the knowledge I have gained of its history and sources compensates me for the unpleasant details it is forced by my intention. That was Helen Keller. I mean, I don't know. I think one of the things, and I've had a couple, actually, I would say 10 or 15 emails on this subject alone. And what they're saying is, do you believe that America was founded on Christianity? That's a big thing. You will hear that on Fox News all the time. This is a Christian nation. People would believe, well, this is founded by Christian people. Well, I think with